Hello, I'm Tamara DeMonte.
And I'm John White. On News Channel 3 investigation site is uncovering questions about one councilman's spending habits at Palm Desert City Hall. Thousands of dollars on hotels, limos, restaurant tabs, and airfares. And it comes as the city reins in spending during these tough times. Our investigation started at City Hall, and hundreds of pages of expense reports from August 1st of 2008 to July 31st, 2009, 1 year. The total for 4 of the 5 council members, $5,276.38. The total for Councilman Jim Ferguson alone, $20,464.61. Hi, is Mr. Ferguson in today? We had some questions, so I hit the phones. I called Councilman Ferguson at his law firm, left a message. Called his cell phone, left another message. Called City Hall, left a message. With no responses, I decided to pay a visit to his law firm. How you doing, Councilman? I've been trying to reach you on the phone.
I know you have.
He was there. I mean, I'd love to sit down with you and just,
Well, I don't find expenses to be all that exciting. I'd love to talk about energy.
And most of the councilman's travel expenses come from his leading role on energy in the city. The city is in the middle of a plan to reduce energy usage by 30%. It's gone solar on the carports at City Hall. It comes at a cost. Last October, Councilman Ferguson and his wife went to Spain for a solar tour from Madrid to Barcelona, looking at that country's groundbreaking energy projects, including this solar tower. Airfare for him and his wife, more than $11,000 on Air France business class. A city staffer who went on the same trip flew coach for less than $1,000. Councilman Ferguson's explanation.
The summer before, I was supposed to go to Germany and Norway and had to cancel at the last minute, had to eat $2,300 that trip. And I swore that I was no longer going to buy non-refundable, non-transferable tickets for international travel. Our policy, if you put it, specifies business class for international travel.
But the city policy in place at that time says airfare will be reimbursed for the equivalent of coach. There's no mention of different guidelines for international travel. There were other large expenses in Spain, $551 for a limousine on the first day of the conference. He says it was justified.
It was a trip about 1 hour outside of the city, the direction of our swimming pool consultants to look at an indoor-outdoor pool that they had built there.
Also in Spain, more than $500 in telephone charges, more than $1,000 in internet fees. There are a lot of expenses right here in the Southland as well. $672 for a trip to Los Angeles, billed to Councilman Ferguson's American Express card by American Limousine out of Cathedral City. The councilman has 2 explanations.
There was no way I could get to the airport and back or through Los Angeles within that time frame by anything other than a car.
And that was faster than driving your own car?
Well, I'm not driving my own car because it's a leased car and it has a certain number of miles, and while I get reimbursed the IRS rate for my car miles, I won't get reimbursed when I turn my car back in and I have to pay for the extra miles that I put on my car.
In this case, the councilman submitted only his credit card statement, not a receipt. The city policy states receipts must be provided for reimbursement. Last November, the councilman and his wife took a one-day trip to Orange County for a funeral for John Phillips from the Energy Coalition. This is the resort where he stayed with his wife, one of the most luxurious hotels in the Southland. The St. Regis, nearly $500 a night, plus lunch and dinner, more than $400 worth. The councilman says he shopped for the best rate.
I checked 3 other hotels. One was $800, one was $1,500.
We also asked the councilman about 3 lunches, submitted twice, same receipts. The total paid out 2 times, $168.65.
I was afforded a copy of what my travel was, and we caught it and sent a check to the city 6 weeks ago.
City Councilwoman Jean Benson sat down with us. She defends the councilman, saying,
"Those are just the costs of doing business, is all I can say."
We also talked to Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Finnerty, who describes herself as a fiscal conservative. She doesn't have a problem with the expenses. In fact, quite the opposite.
So I think the story needs to be, we need to thank him. We need to thank him for his efforts. We need to thank him for traveling.
Still, Councilman Ferguson himself admits there will be changes in the future.
I don't think you'll see first-class trips or business-class trips overseas anymore.
Now, both Mayor Bob Spiegel and Councilman Dick Kelly declined to be interviewed for our story. Again, we're simply raising questions about these expenses. Now, I called the city attorney this afternoon, David Irwin. He says that even when the expenses appear to be outside the guidelines of the policy, the city council has the final say. So, if they're approved, they're valid.